Thank you everyone for attending and in person and listening in. Director Miller, could you please lead us to the pledge?
Please rise, face the flag, hand over your heart. Repeat your meaning. The pledge of allegiance to the United States of
Thank you. The one item I'd like to bring up, we received notice yesterday that the Director of Division 1, Shelley Sorsabal, she's stepping down as Director. And there'll be a committee will be formed, we'll be meeting next week, and we'll discuss the legal requirements of fulfilling that position. And attorneys looking at the time restraints and what has to be done at what time. So there'll be more information. It'll be forthcoming very, very soon. But we wish Shelley the best, and we thank you for your years of service. Madam Secretary, if we can have the roll call.
Thank you, Mr. President. Division 7, Gary Van Dam.
Here.
Division 6, Audrey Miller.
Here.
Division 5, Robert Paris.
Here.
Division 2, Keith Dias.
Here.
Division 1 is vacant. Division 3, Frank Donato.
Here.
Division 4, George Lane.
Here.
General Manager Knutson.
Here.
Attorney Tilden Kim.
Here.
And Holly Hughes present.
Yeah, thank you. And item number 4 is voluntary roll call. Any member of the public wishes to introduce themselves, feel free to do so at this time. And usually we have a nice group of people listening in.
John Ukestead.
John, welcome.
Hi, George.
Hi, George, members of the board. It's John Joyce reporting for the Roseland News. Hi.
Yeah, thank you.
White Fence 3, Jack Cephas.
Jack, welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, public comments. If there's anybody who would like to comment on anything that's not on the agenda, and feel free to do so now. Item number 6, adoption of agenda. Item number 6A1, adoption of the agenda for the regular board meeting April 25th. I think if there's no questions, board order would be in.
Mr. President, it's Rob. I move we adopt the agenda.
Director Paris, we have a motion.
I'll second the motion.
One second. Director Dias. Okay, thank you. If there's no further discussion, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay. Motion carried. Yeah, thank you. It brings us down to item number 7, a consent calendar. We have 3 items in the consent calendar. Approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting of March 14th. Adoption of a tax sharing resolution, Valley County Sanitation District. 2 items. And those are the items for the consent calendar. And those have been reviewed. I remember one time years ago we asked, what happens if we don't approve the tax sharing Valley County Sanitation? What happens anyway? So we don't have a whole lot of influence. Anyway, if there's no further discussion, a motion would be in order.
I do. Board Order 781, consent calendar.
Director Donato?
Director Miller will second.
Director Miller, there's no further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Yeah, thank you. That'll bring us on to get a little bit more on the agenda here. Finance Committee, several items on that for consideration. Yeah, Director Donato is chairman of that, so if you care to start with that.
Yes, sure. We met last Thursday, went over bills, and the board order consider action except the file checklist your list. In your agenda is a list of all the items that were approved. And
Just even for that one. Okay.
and again, so I make a motion we approve Board Order A1.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's quite a few items on that. There's no questions or on that? We have a motion to second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, A2, this is considered possible action to accept and file the treasurer's report for the month ending March 31st. Finance and Administration Manager Teresa Yates.
Good evening, directors. The treasurer's report in your packet is for the month ending March 31st, 2023. And just the items to point out, average yield to maturity for the total portfolio for March was 2.702%, which was up 0.087% from the prior month. And average days to maturity for the total portfolio, 223 days or approximately 7 months. And total cash and investments at March 31st was $163.8 million, which was down $2.3 million from the prior month. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I think we're doing pretty good. It's a lot better than some of the banks.
Yeah.
And just if I could add, obviously the current cash value does not, or currently includes the $45 million that we're set to pay off the 1st of May. So once we see the May treasurer's report, that will be reflective in that report.
Okay, is there any questions or comments from Teresa's presentation?
I'll move on Board Order A2.
You got a motion by Director Donato? Need a second?
Director Miller, second.
Director Miller, you have a second? If there's nothing further, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, thank you. Good report, Teresa.
This brings us to A8A3, consider possible action to approve proposal for professional auditing services for the fiscal year 2023, 24, and 25. And our general manager, Matt, will go ahead and explain that.
All right. Thank you, Director Donato. So on page 56 of your board packet is a staff report that Teresa and I put together. A little bit of background. As you know, in 2020, the agency's longtime auditor, Berkey Cox, who's a local firm, they discontinued providing auditing services. As a result of that, the agency went out with an RFP. And at that time, we entered into a 3-year contract with Brown Armstrong. So Brown Armstrong is a firm that's performed the financial statement audit for the last 3 years for the agency. So earlier this year, because we only had a 3-year contract, we went out and issued a new RFP to a number of firms. I think there was roughly a dozen firms we sent the RFP out to. Only 3 of those that we sent it to submitted proposals. So here on the screen, you can see a summary of the fees submitted by the 3 firms. The 3 firms are Edie and Payne. They're located in Riverside. Brown Armstrong, who's completed the last 3 years for the agency, and then Singer Lewick. I don't recall where they were, but we didn't spend a lot of time reviewing their proposal because of you can see the fee was significantly more. So we discussed this with the finance committee at the last 2 committee meetings. You know, staff was comfortable with Brown Armstrong, but the committee felt that because we went out with an RFP and we solicited proposals and fees, we did some research on Edie and Payne. Their references checked out very well. They've done work for a number of public agencies, water agencies, as well as one state water contractor, which is San Gorgonio Pass Water Agency. And so based on the review, and you can see on their fee there, they're the lowest fee. The Finance Committee is recommending that we enter into or accept the proposal from EDM Payne for the next 3 years to perform the audit for the agency. And if approved, then we'll obviously include this cost as part of the upcoming budget. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions unless the Finance Committee would like to add anything as well.
Okay, I think that's kind of wrapped it up.
Yeah.
General thinking. Is there any questions from the board or any comments?
No. On page 58 is a staff report for this item. Last several years that I can recall, maybe more, we've gone through this process of reviewing the membership list with the Finance Committee, presenting the list and the budget to the board like we are tonight. And then this will be included in our upcoming fiscal year 23-24 budget that we're going to be discussing over the next couple months. So you can see in the board packet, there's a list of the memberships. Some benefits of the continued memberships include the first goal is really associated with the state water contractors. They do a lot of advocating on behalf of the agency for improved water supply reliability and water quality. The various memberships expand access and resources, networks within with similar interests or other agencies, opportunities for professional development, increased ability to stay engaged on relevant topics, and some cost savings by pooling resources. And this is the last bullet really applies to our Aqua membership, and that allows us access to the agency's insurance pool for our health, not only our health insurance, but our liability insurance, as well as our workers' comp insurance that's offered through Aqua JPIA. It's a very good insurance program for the agency. They also provide a number of training and different resources that are available to the staff and the directors. Little background, the approved current year fiscal budget included $490,000 for the various memberships. The proposed 2023-2024 membership list is estimated to be at $465,427. Here you can see a list of the memberships. A lion's share of the budget is, as I stated earlier, with the State Water Contractors Association. And this is a group that meets on a regular basis monthly to advocate on the agency's behalf as a state water contractor. The other 27 plus state water contractors are also members of this group. So the cost is spread out proportionately between those member agencies. Peter Thompson, our new assistant GM, is actually a board member on the State Water Contractors Board. So we have really good representation there, and they've served us well in the past. So you can see the total amount based on our estimated cost is $465,000. We are proposing a $480,000 budget for the upcoming fiscal year. Gives us a little bit of room just in case any of those costs go slightly over. And this is $10,000 less than our current fiscal budget. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. And this was reviewed by the Finance Committee, and they're in support of this.
Yeah, this is Director Noto. I'll go ahead and move on Board Order A4 to approve the membership dues.
Okay, we have a motion, Director Donato, second from
Director Miller was.
Director Miller. Is there any questions from the board or the audience? Any discussion? The state water contractors is by far the lion's share. Did we save that much money or more
by being a member?
Having them as a representative?
Oh yeah, I think, Dwayne or Pete can chime in here, but it's critical for AVAC to be a member of that. I mean, it gives us a seat at the table within the state water contractor family, and they definitely do a lot of work advocating on our behalf.
Do they save us that much money?
Oh yeah,
It could be.
yeah, and then some.
Not if we didn't have them. But governors like we have now, they could spend another $2 million, $5 million, and just tell the director. Because this is the problem that we have in the state. The governor appoints the head of all the very expensive agencies. The Department of Water Resources is appointed by the governor. Public Utility Commissioner appointed by the governor. So if we don't have these watchdogs, I mean, it could be out of control. And they would pass that fee to our water rates and other things that we wouldn't be arguing about.
Yeah. And it's really an extension of staff. I mean, if we tried the staff to keep an eye on this stuff for ourselves, I mean, it'd be tenfold that fee that we pay to the state water contractors, because we pool with the other agencies and share in that cost.
Didn't this kind of come about 20 years ago when one of the governors mandated that state water project had to invest in those umbrellas up and down the 5 freeway?
Do you remember how it came about?
There was state water project contributed to that. It's guaranteed. You remember that?
No, I don't.
Yeah, and it wasn't part of the Sound of Music either.
Oh.
Yeah.
Even over the grapevine.
No, there was thousands up and down the 5 freeway. Yeah, by the grapevine, exactly. Anyway, that's enough of that. But they're very important to us. It's our agency to make sure that we're going the right way.
Yeah.
Okay, if there's no further discussion.
Can I make one comment, Mr. President? Matt, isn't it also true that this organization is supporting us in attempts to obtain grants for some of our projects?
That's right, and that's coming up next couple items.
Okay.
We're going to talk about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, he put that to look.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, good point. Item number A4, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, item A5, let's consider possible action to adopt resolution R23-11, authorizing grant application, acceptance, and execution of the North Region Pump Station Facility project in the Mojave Pump Station. And again, Matt will go over that.
All right, thank you again. So on page 62 of your packet is the staff report and the proposed resolution R23-11. So as you know, our agency falls within two integrated regional water management regions, the Antelope Valley region and the Fremont Basin region. So there is a new Proposition 1, Round 2, I believe it is, funding opportunity for the Fremont Basin. There's about $635,000 sitting there available for that region to take advantage of for improvements to public agencies' water systems and beneficial use to that area. The other public agencies that are also part of that region, such as Mojave Public Utilities District and the City of California City, don't have any projects to pursue this grant funding. So rather than just not submit an application on behalf of the region and let that money go away or be distributed to other regions, AVAC thought it'd be wise if we put together an application and pursue that grant funding. So Pam Clark really did a lion's share of this work with support from other staff, coordinated with DWR as well as Mojave PUD and Cal City to ensure that they didn't have a project to go after this funding and get support from them for our project. So staff put together a project, and it is the reconstruction of the Mojave pump station. I think we talked about it in prior budget. You know, that's an old metal building that houses that pump station that supplies water to Mojave PUD in the community of Mojave. And we talked about reconstructing that building with a block building. So that's what this project application is for. We did receive a support letter from Mojave PUD that we're going to submit with our application. But one thing DWR needs from us as part of our complete application for these grant funds is a resolution approved by this board that authorizes the submission of the application and that says if we're granted the funds, we will enter into an agreement with them for the grant funding. So that is the recommendation this evening to approve the resolution. It'll complete our grant application to DWR, and then we'll hear next in the coming weeks whether we're successful in getting these funds.
Looks like a win-win.
Yeah, definitely.
I have a question. Is there a particular monetary amount that you applied for?
Yeah, the full 625. Is that right, Pam? 625,000. So pretty much all of it. And because this project benefits a disadvantaged community, there's no match funds required by the agency. Maybe that's where you're going with the question.
Well, I think we discussed this project at one point, and I could not recall how much it was going to cost.
Yeah, it was in that ballpark.
Bigger building, a smaller building. Yeah.
I think it was in that $600,000 range.
Okay, so we're going out for the full amount.
Full amount.
I like it.
All right.
Move on it.
Motion, Director Miller.
I'll second it.
Second, Director Donato. No further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you.
Okay, last item for me is 8A6, update on the DWR funding opportunities for construction of the SNP line phase 2 project.
All right. And I'll present on this item. This is for information only. No action this evening is recommended or requested. So I think we're all familiar with the SNP phase 2 pipeline. It's a 6.5, 7 mile, 48-inch pipeline that connects our Westside Water Bank system to the Quartz Hill Water Treatment Plant facility. The red line that you see on the map is the alignment of the 48-inch pipeline. The project also includes equipping the pump station at 80th Street West and Avenue H that exists, but the equipment for boosting the water through the new SNP pipeline is not there. So the total project is about $56 million to construct. That's the steel pipeline as well as equipping the pump station. We currently have about $6.5 million in grant funds that we've received in the last couple of years through DWR. There's about $1.5 million awarded through the Antelope Valley Integrated Regional Water Management Group. And then also more recently, $5 million through the DWR's Drought Relief Program. So like I said, we have about $6.5 million. We need roughly $50 million to complete the project. So this, Keith kind of hit on it. One of the benefits of being part of the State Water Contractors Group is Jennifer Pierre, who I think you've all met before, is the general manager for that organization. And she advocates on behalf of member agencies to pursue various grant opportunities. So this is really the brainchild of Jennifer and Dwayne Chisam. Goes back to late 2022 is when it, started being discussed. Jennifer put out a request to the state water contractors and called for projects that are seeking grant funding to help offset some water to some disadvantaged communities in the Central Valley. So through the discussions, this has gotten a lot of traction with Jennifer and the state water contractors, as well as Department of Water Resources. So there's $50 million available to the agency through this program, and the payback is not through money, but through State Water Project water or Table A water. So the exchange would be if the agency were to receive this $50 million, we would commit to up to 50,000 acre feet over 20 years and supply that water to DWR and San Luis Reservoir. And then they would take control of that water and distribute it to some disadvantaged communities in the Central Valley that need this water during periods of drought. Now we've had some early discussions with DWR, devil's in the details of what the terms of the agreement will be. And we'll want to make sure that we safeguard ourselves during really low allocation years, that we're not having to transfer water to satisfy this grant in exchange for this grant. So, like I said, it's getting a lot of support and attention. Jennifer's done a good job pushing this through DWR, and it sounds like it's going to make its way onto the state budget for upcoming approval in June sometime or late June. And we're going to continue talking to DWR and discuss the details of the actual agreement. But we thought at this point it'd be appropriate to inform the board where we're at, make sure everybody's comfortable with the general terms at this point, and then we'll see what the details of the agreement look like when we come back. So.
I have a couple of comments.
Yeah.
Because we reviewed it. The first thing, let's make it more definite on the Central Valley. It's for the farm workers, basically, the ones that go to housing, so that they can go to work, so they can have good water. It's not for farming itself, but it's for the farm workers.
That's a good clarification. Yeah, it's not going to be used for farming. That's correct, Wayne, right? Okay. It's to support the communities that support farming. Yeah. Okay, that's a good thing. The second thing is that in the provision, we're going to put in there that if there's a drought, that this 50,000 acre feet will not go against our whatever allocation we get in the percentages. Those are the details that we need to work out with DWR, but I mean, that's what we're going to push for. Yeah. And the third thing I want to comment on, that you thought maybe this would work. So right now we have a lot of water, more than we could ever get through the aqueduct, that we could give that water 50,000. If there's room in the San Luis, we could give them 10,000 a year, 20,000 a year. If we decided to do that, would that be also one of the provisions? Yeah, I think it's up to 20,000 or up to 10,000 in a given year. So that, let's assume it gets approved in the state budget in June. Hopefully we could work through an agreement. You can see the estimate timeline there is approvals in sometime in November, hopefully. This would be a perfect year to supply that initial 10,000 acre feet. In San Luis. One thing else I want to point out, that because of where the location of delivery, the power cost will be virtually nothing to deliver that water into the San Luis Reservoir. Is that correct? Yeah, essentially nothing. We supply it in San Luis, and then DWR takes control of the water at that point. Yeah. So basically, we'd be getting a net $1,000 an acre foot. Yeah, just simple math. You could, $1,000 an acre foot. Yeah. I think that's a great. And how fast do they ready to write the check? Well, if it's approved in the state budget, we'll have to work on the agreements, and it's probably like any grant. We're gonna have to get reimbursed for expenses paid. So concept sounds good.
Yeah, very, very promising.
Yeah. Again, big thanks to Dwayne. He was the brainchild behind the concept and approached Jennifer with this idea. And
no action. This is just
information only. Yeah.
Mr. President, I have one more question.
Yes.
Yeah. Matt, how quickly will we be able to break ground if this gets approved?
We could break. Justin's not here, but within 6 months we could wrap up the final design and get under construction. And it's probably an 18-month to 24-month project to complete. So within a couple years, we could have the ability to move water through the system.
Great.
You know, we all know the benefits of the project. We're going to be able to totally maximize the use of the West Side Water Bank and provide some reliability to the customers off the south feeder, which is up here off the Court Seal system, and also provide some water quality benefits to the system. Because if we ever get in a situation where THMs get high, we can blend that with the well water produced from the West Side Water Bank. So a lot of benefits.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
That concludes my report. Thank you. And moving on to item number B, Water Rates Capacity Fees Committee. Gary Van Dam is chairman of that committee. It is not one of the more popular committees, but
yeah. So we met the other day, came up with some ideas, and on 8B1, updated the status of the financial plan and model recommended water rate adjustment. Matt, why don't you go into that a minute?
Okay, thank you, Gary. So as Gary said, the Water Rate Committee has met a couple times now. Our first meeting was to really refresh the committee's memory on our process of going through the financial model that go into that model to determine what the recommended rate adjustments are for the next 5 years. And then the more recent meeting was reviewing the first draft of that model based on some various assumptions. And we provided the committee a kind of a range of water rate adjustments. So our next step would be to schedule a workshop with the full board. We've done that in the past, and it seems to work out pretty good. We can just have a special meeting and treat it like a workshop where we spend some time going through the model and reviewing the assumptions. And that's more information to the board during that workshop. And then we can come back at the public hearing date that we set to formally adopt the rate adjustments at that time. And our hope is to align that with our budget process. And that's the whole point of realigning the water rates. We used to be on calendar year for our water rates, but as you know, we've recently realigned that to line up fiscal year with our budget process. So no action on 8B1 tonight, but there is action on 8B2. And if you're good, Gary, I can just jump into that.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt.
So this is to set the public hearing for the water rate hearing and water rate adjustment meeting for the upcoming fiscal year 2023-24 through fiscal year 25-26. So Prop 218, and Tilden can jump in here, requires that we provide 45-day notice to our customers of when the rate hearing is going to be. In order to meet that 45-day period, tonight we need to set the hearing date. We're going to put out a notice to our customers tomorrow, post it on our website, and then we'll meet that requirement of Prop 218. One other thing the committee discussed was looking at setting a 3-year rate adjustment. Rather than revisit the rates each year, we do our 5-year planning, but we actually set the rate for the next 3 fiscal years. That's not saying we can't come back and adjust it in a year from now or 2 years from now. If our projections get off or any unforeseen circumstance with the economy or the state of affairs, what's going on, we can always adjust it at that time.
If we have that hearing in June 13th, if there's still questions, there's still time to have another hearing or more discussion, reports it up.
Yeah, I accounted for that. So let's say it's for some reason on the 13th of June, there's still questions. We want to punt it again. We have the second meeting in June that we could always move it to.
So before we leave tonight, we need to pick a date.
Yeah.
That the board's gonna
have a public hearing.
No, not public hearing. Yeah, that's automatic. But I'm talking about us
for the workshop.
For the workshop.
Yeah, good point. Yeah, the action tonight is just to set the public hearing for the 13th, but like Frank said, we could also discuss looking at a workshop date that works for everybody.
Okay. Is there
Is that it?
That's all I have. Thank you,
Okay.
Gary.
Well, with that, is there any, do we get, no,
I think we're ready for
no action to it?
a motion on that.
Okay, go ahead.
If there's no further discussion with the board or the public, I'd like to set that hearing for June 13th. Hearing no further discussion, we need a motion in a second.
I'll make a motion.
Director Van Dam, Director Donato. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Yeah, thank you, Gary.
Yep.
That brings us down to the Water Master and Groundwater Committee, and Director Parrish is chairman of that committee. Rob?
Yeah, and I'll have Matt give the report on that.
All right. Thank you, Rob. So on page 67 of your board packet is a brief staff report. And attached to that is the agenda for tomorrow's Water Master meeting. I understand Director Paris is not going to be in attendance at that meeting, so me as the alternate, I'm going to fill in for him tomorrow. So this item is to get input and direction from the AVEC board to our representative for tomorrow's meeting. Few items to highlight that are on the agenda tomorrow. Couple of updates on amendments to the rules and regulations. One being revising the rules and regs of the Water Master regarding repayment of delinquent replacement water assessments. I think we touched on this before. The example I can give is if somebody were to overproduce today or in 2023, they would be assessed this year's water replacement water assessment, which is $523 per acre foot. But if they become delinquent in paying those assessments and they let it go for 2, 3, 4 years as being delinquent, it's not fair to keep that rate at 523 because in 3 or 4 years from now, it's going to cost Water Master more to purchase replacement water. At that time, everything goes up. So this amendment to the rules and regs requires that if somebody is in default and waits 2, 3, 4 years in paying their replacement water assessment, even though they pumped a few years ago, they pay the then current replacement water assessment rate. And that keeps everybody whole, keeps Water Master whole, keeps AVAC whole as a provider of replacement waters to the Water Master. So that's not up for action tomorrow. That's more of information. There'll be a public hearing at the May meeting of the Water Master. So tomorrow they're just going to talk about update on that. We do have a few transfers. I think you can see them there on page 68. One involves High Desert Dairy to Craig Van Dam. And not to get into too much here, but there is some dispute there between the parties. And I think that is going to be recommended to be tabled, is the latest that I heard from the Water Master attorney. So I don't think it's fair to get into the details of that. So I think what I'm looking at is direction from the AVEC board, if you're in concurrence with that, to take the recommendation of the Water Master attorney for that item to be tabled. So,
okay.
I have no objection to that.
Yeah.
So we need a board order to be in.
Well, let me just, so we can hold that. Yeah. So it seems like everybody's in agreement with that. The other 3 transfers are pretty straightforward. They were reviewed by the advisory committee and recommended to be approved. So no issues with those. There is a new production application, the Barrel Springs Properties. It's located within the Palmdale Water District service area. There were a number of questions, concerns brought up by the advisory committee on this item. And I think even the water master engineer has some question about whether they're going to be able to produce the amount of water that they're projecting. So I think the recommendation is go ahead and approve the application and let the applicant drill a test well to verify the production that they're estimating, and then kind of go from there.
How big of a hole is it?
I think it was pretty small, like a 6-inch or 8-inch.
6-inch.
Yeah.
I think
6-inch
Yeah.
casing. Yeah. But they're trying to get 110 acre.
120, I think.
120 acre
Yeah.
feet. So it's,
put it about a 2 horse
maybe 5.
5.
Yeah.
But what are they gonna do with that? I'm just.
So that's it's housing for farm workers. It's what they entitle it. There's some debate on what that really means.
State water project, is that what's going on?
What's that? Oh.
All of a sudden we get the one, now we heard the second one.
Yeah. So the like I said, the advisory committee, they've got some concerns on it, but the water master engineer is recommending to proceed with at least the test hole to test their production.
Matt, has Barrel Springs acquired the production rights?
They're applying for a new production. So new production is they're going to have to pay replacement water for every acre foot produced.
Okay.
So they'd be a new party.
Well, I thought, I'm trying to learn something here. I thought the maximum on domestic wells was approximately 3 acre feet.
Yeah, that's for domestic, and this is for a commercial. So you can apply for a larger production or new production application if it's for ag or commercial use.
But they pay the going rate.
They pay the replacement water on every acre foot produced.
What happens, Matt, if they drill that well and they get that production right, and then all of a sudden there's material harm to that well?
Yeah, that's what the water master engineer main job is, and they need to evaluate that.
Yeah, that's my concern.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, even with that monitoring well, if it's there today, we don't know if it's going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How far is it from the app?
It is on Barrel Springs Road near
It's not like
40th Street East.
40 feet, 50 feet away.
Oh no, it's south of, I think south of the aqueduct. It's probably half mile or so.
I just wanted to get free water.
Oh no. It's adjacent to where the Palmdale ditch runs through. You know, that transfers water from Low Rock Dam to Lake Palmdale. Yeah, there you go.
It's right on the,
There was a vein somewhere.
Yeah.
it's on the fault line.
It's right on the fault line. That's why the water master engineer is suspicious on the quantity of water that they're going to be able to get. There's not a lot of high groundwater production up in that area. And then there's a couple of replacement wells with Bolt House Farms or Bolt House property.
Matt,
Yes.
how close are these replacement wells to the prior wells, to the existing?
So these are both within 300 feet. So I think there's a requirement or based on the rules and regs of the judgment, as long as the well's within 300 feet, they can be categorized as a replacement well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. And that's all I had. I guess I'm looking for a concurrence on direction tomorrow. We talked about the items. Everything is recommended to be approved. And like I said, the transfer with High Desert Dairy to Craig Van Dam is most likely going to be recommended to be tabled. So,
Would you rather have a concurrence or a motion?
a concurrence would be fine. Yeah.
And I think we've heard Matt's report, and I don't know if anybody disagrees with it. If they do, now's the time to say something. Otherwise, I think you'd have the board's concurrence. Is that correct?
I concur.
Okay.
All right. Great.
You got it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, but if you have a board order here,
No.
Does that matter?
We don't need it, do we, Matt? The board order?
Yeah, I mean, Frank's right. We do have board order.
If you want it.
Yeah, let's go ahead and do it since it's listed on the agenda.
Motion for a board order of 8C1.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Give a motion in a second. Is there any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Let's take, it brings us down to, new business. Let's take a 4 or 5 minute break and we'll come back.
Okay.
Highway, scouting for old cars and car parts to restore his classic car collection while spending more time with family. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Directors of the Avek Water Agency does hereby thank Dwayne for his 10 years of public service to the taxpayers, water users, and residents of our community, and a total of 40 years as a public servant. Be it further resolved that the Board of Directors and all agency employees wish Dwayne a long, happy, healthy retirement from the agency and career of service with plenty of time for family, hot rods, hot dogs, and hot August nights. Now, this is an excellent resolution. I'm not sure who wrote it, but it appears to have Matt and Holly's fingerprints all over it.
It was Pam.
It was Pam.
It was Pam.
Good job, Pam. Outstanding. It's got plenty of humor in it, and I'm sure Dwayne appreciates that. So I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution.
I'll second the motion.
But prior to voting on the resolution, I'd like to make a few additional comments and open it up to others who wish to comment on Dwayne's career. Now, late last year, when we found out that Dwayne was going to be leaving us for retirement, our staff and our consultant, Melissa Semchuk, prepared what was to be a press release describing Dwayne's glorious career with us. And as I was the board president at the time, I was requested to make some personal observations on Dwayne's career, and I was very honored to do that. And I will read some of those quotes to you now from that press release. In my opinion, Dwayne is the finest general manager in AVAC history. He is not only technically competent and a natural leader, but he has a vision for the organization. Also, he has the insight and communication skills to successfully project that vision for the board by working within the system to achieve support. That level of expertise enabled him to execute critical projects and programs. Our new High Desert Water Bank, currently a work in progress, is his brainchild from start to finish. The High Desert Water Bank is AVEC's most ambitious project to date and required incredible planning, scheduling, oversight, and management, which Dwayne achieved with patience, style, and grace. This project might be Dwayne's signature career achievement. Dwayne demonstrated wonderful creativity and innovation in approaching AVEC's water supply issues, such as locating new potential sources of water from as far away as the Kern River Valley. After conclusion of the lengthy, expensive, and stressful Antelope Valley groundwater adjudication, many landowners were left without water rights for development of their properties, rendering their land essentially worthless. Fortunately, Dwayne designed a very fair, successful, and equitable program to allow these unfortunate landowners access to permanent or temporary water for their properties. The plan utilized existing resources and infrastructure to solve what could have been a major public injustice. Dwayne's solution to the problem was presented and accepted by the AV Water Master, which avoided a disastrous loss of property values on a massive scale. Dwayne has always served as a unifier in achieving AVAC consensus in many difficult situations and critical decision points. He appreciated the value of a stable governing board for the health of the agency. Accordingly, he managed in a low-key style that avoided controversy and resulted in minimal board member turnover during his tenure. As a wise planner, Dwayne developed a succession plan for the replacement of key leadership positions at Avek, including his own position. As such, he hired Mr. Matt Knudsen as assistant general manager with the concept of eventually promoting him to general manager. And here we are today. Thank you, Dwayne. That concludes my personal comments. And now I'd like to hear from any other board members.
Dwayne, I think, we all would have liked to made that presentation of the resolution, but you worked so long with Keith right there that was appropriate, and I think it's thinking of most of the board members. And at some point, we need to come up and get a picture with we've got a resolution.
Yes, we do. Dwayne, could you come up, or where should we do this on?
Can we do a few more comments, George, or
Yeah, definitely.
you want to do it after the picture?
Let's go ahead and do it. We'll do the picture afterwards. Go ahead.
Good. Main thing I wanted to say was ditto to Keith. There's not a lot more to add to that, but Dwayne, you've done an incredible job of leadership in this agency. You took over at a time where there was a little chaos going on, and you smoothed it out and brought us all together. And then the succession planning, few leaders do that in the way that you did. And then to bring Matt in and stay to help develop until we got Peter here, just incredible. And that's real true leadership. And unfortunately today, so many people in top positions think they can't be replaced, so they leave an agency in shambles and say, see, but not you. And I really appreciate that, and I think all the board members do. So thank you so much.
And Dwayne, I want to say I'm the youngest on the board over here, not age-wise, but years in service. And I appreciate all your help through answering all my questions and giving me direction. I really appreciate it. And I'm sort of jealous that you're going to be close to the ocean again, most likely. And I wish you the best, really.
Great, thank you. Is there anything further?
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah, Dwayne, more than anything, I'm just going to miss you as a friend, and just our relationship through the years. And going back into the old car deal, I think we've been going to hot August nights and seeing each other over there for, the last 5 years. So I look forward to maybe that continuing. But good luck to you. Thank you.
Okay, I have to say something.
Frank?
Yeah, I want to thank you for your years. I'm just, thinking about 10 years with the agency, or over 10 years, maybe 13. And I'm thinking about how you came and took over Dan Corey's shoes. And what's interesting about Dwayne is that he was always looking for a new project. We didn't have any money, but we had a project. And but he did find a lot of money, found a lot of rent money. And then all of a sudden, you get this guy, I didn't even know who he was, from Palmdale Water District, and he hired Matt. So, judge of character, he definitely has. And the agency as a whole, next to flawless when it comes to personnel and the people working together. Don't always agree, but at the end of the day, we all work together and it's worked out good, and I appreciate your services. I was just thinking about what he said. He's probably going to reside permanently in Texas, no state income tax, and then he's got his motorhome all over the country. So that was done very well. I appreciate that.
Okay. You come on up here. We're going to. We have a camera right here.
Polly's going to.
By the way, I'm properly dressed retirement card.
You want to come up at the back? Yeah, that's good, Keith, where you're at. I think that's good. Yeah, thank you. Good job, everyone.
And if I could say something real quick, Dwayne. Sure. If you don't mind. So, I've thanked Dwayne before, but I think it's appropriate to thank Dwayne again right now. On behalf of all the Avek staff, and especially me, Dwayne gave me a great opportunity 6 years ago to come to this great organization. And he spent a lot of time and effort mentoring me and getting me ready for the opportunity to be where I am today. So I just want to say thank you to Dwayne for that. I'll always remember that. Today we had an employee luncheon and a low retirement lunch for Dwayne. And I tell you, he had the funniest speech. So I don't know if you're going to duplicate that now, Dwayne. You might want to leave out some of it.
Yeah. Probably a couple of those things.
He did a great job, though. And we're definitely going to miss him.
Yeah.
We're going to miss making wagers among staff about what car is going to be in the parking lot this week or different things like that. He gave us many good memories and good laughs. So thank you again.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everything. Well, first off, I'm a pretty shy guy, so this doesn't sit very well with me in a lot of ways. But I do want to thank the board for giving me the opportunity 10 years ago to come work for Avek. And like you say, most people, when I talk to friends and colleagues who said, "What the hell are you doing, moving from Pismo Beach to the Antelope Valley? Why would you want to do that?" And Holly has the evidence for this, but I attended Navy Board of Trade presentation for a tour of the water bank before I was hired, before anything was going on, and I saw the application for the thing, and I said, that's something I want to do. That's something I want to be involved with. That's something I really thought I would be a good thing. And then also I wanted to be one of the state water contractor general managers. It's a very small group, only 26 members, kind of like the NFL or any of the other fraternities. And to be able to list that, my resume at the end of my career was kind of hitting to the top of the level in the water business. And so I really spent a lot of time thinking about that before I started here. Those were kind of my personal goals of what I wanted to try and achieve. And as we work through things over the years, we've been able to do what I think is some pretty good improvements. The building here was part of it. But you don't do any of these things by yourself. You have to have a quality team. You got to have a board of directors that supports you, staff that's second to none, and they would reel me in when I got too far off the reservation and say, "Dwayne, think about that before you go too far down that lane." And but overall, it's been a great 10 years. I look forward to my next phase of my life. At this time, you always reflect on all the things that you've done and try to accomplish, and you look back at those with fond memories, and I do. But I'm really looking forward for the next 20 years and what that's going to bring. I have, like you say, I have a second grandchild coming, and I plan to make up for some lost time on. I have, by the way, I have 10 cars lined up over to work on for the next 10 years. So I'll have plenty of things to do and keep me busy. And I just want to wish the board and the staff and everybody just a wonderful thank you for allowing me to do this.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dwayne.
Still going to see you occasionally. Okay. Thank you much, sir. Okay.
Mr. President, I think we have a motion and a second.
Okay, motion second, then. I'm not gonna, previously going to say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Thank you. Matt, and we're going to continue on with you, General Manager's report.
Yep. And I'm going to turn this over to Pete Thompson, our Assistant GM. You know, part of his major role coming to the agency was going to be water resource management and tracking what's going on with state water projects. So I think it's fitting to kind of turn this part of the presentation over to Pete. So,
all right. Thank you, Matt. Good evening, board. So I have to thank Tom Barnes. He puts these slides together. They're well done. What Tom put up here is the big melt has begun, and that's very true. If you look down at that graph, you can see that 2023 we have snowpack that is either at or above historical highs, and now that snowpack is melting. And so consequently, what we're seeing across the state right now, and particularly in the Central Valley, is a lot of flooding due to that snowpack melting. And we can turn slide. There we go. And you're familiar with this chart. It shows the 8-station index and the precipitation that's fallen. We're having a below average April, but that really doesn't matter at this point because of those significant months before where we were setting records. Go ahead, Matt. Consequently, we look at our fundamental storage reservoir, which is Lake Oroville for the State Water Project. It's at 90% of its total capacity and 118% of its historical average for this date. So we're well above average right there. And they've had to do flood releases because it's reached the flood control level several times this year. All right. And then the second reservoir, St. Louis Reservoir, where our table A ends up, is pretty much at its maximum total capacity, 99% total capacity. And that is why right now we're in a state where we're receiving Article 21 water, which is excess water. There's more water available right now that can be pumped into the system. And so contractors, Avek, one of them, are receiving that Article 21 water, and that doesn't count against our Table A allocation. All right. Yeah. So as you all heard, we're at 100% allocation. I personally did not think we would ever see another 100% allocation year, but here we are with 95% swing between last year and this year. So that's, we have that whole 1,404,844 acre feet available of Table A available to AVEC. But on top of that, we have the Article 21 water that we're taking in at a rate of 1,800 acre feet a week. And then we had estimated close to 10,000 acre feet by the end of the Article 21 period. It is likely to be more than that and potentially double. That water could be available to AVEC through June at this point. And to date, we've delivered 4,600 acre feet into banking projects. All right. With that, staff has been working on a preliminary update to the water supply plan. So previously, we had gone over what a 75% allocation would look like, which is what we had a few weeks ago, and what an 85% would look like. And I think State Water Project contractors across the board were surprised when we received that 100% allocation. So we've been working on updating it to 100%. This assumes the 10,000 acre feet of Article 21 will be available on top of our full Table A allocation. You can see we've kept those customer deliveries at 38,000. We have adjusted the recharge facilities. We think that there's possibility of getting up to 60,000 acre feet. So between that previously reported 55, we're giving some wiggle room for a possible 5,000 extra acre feet in there. We kept on the transfers and exchanges, continued with that 20,000 acre feet of carryover in San Luis Reservoir. But the big difference is now we're looking at a surplus of 20,700 acre feet. That difference between the two is the same difference we have up there in the banking. So if we were to bank 60,000, we'd have that 23,000 available. That surplus water, staff is working on some plans for what will we do with that, whether it's an exchange, or if we're looking at some alternative banking programs. But we want to find a way to make use of that water on behalf of Avek's customers. And we'll be bringing that plan back to the committee and board very soon. And I think with that, I'm open to any questions you might have.
I have one.
Yes.
And I've been saying this now for some time. We have to collectively work with Met and the state water contractors. We need to open up the East Branch. We need to widen that thing, because this is a time where this water, if we could get a lot more water down through that branch, that can end up in Diamond Lake, and then Diamond Lake put that in the Colorado River. They have the pipe, just have to reverse that pipe. So that pipe goes from the Colorado River to Diamond Lake. And now what we're hearing, I was in a conference last week, that we're looking at as cutbacks as much as 50% to the 5 states that are served up there and Salton Sea. They're even talking some parts of Salton Sea to actually be a ghost town, the lack of water. So, you know, I've been hearing a lot of grant money flying around, big stuff, you know, and they say we got about a year to really get after that. But this is the time, you know, to do something about that East Branch. And I think the presentation, your first one, you did a good job on that. And like you said, we have the STIP line that could also create maybe another, you know, down the road, maybe, you know, other possibilities as well. So, but the East Branch, we got to get that thing going. Yeah. And I know we talked about it, but it's like it's time to do it. Yeah.
Your comment is very timely, Director Donato. We just had an East Branch meeting, and we're looking at collectively assessing the needs for the East Branch contractors on how to store the current water that's available to us in current conditions, and then also in future conditions if we have the Delta Conveyance Project. So there's going to be a deep dive into what would be the cost benefit of expanding the East Branch, just like you were talking about, and what other storage options we would need in order to collectively, as East Branch contractors, make full use of that water.
Another comment I have, I attended the Saturday's Palmdale Water District. What is that called?
They call it the
Ambassadors Club.
Yeah.
Club. They have 3 Wednesday evenings, and then Saturday they have the tour, what they went through. And I went through the whole thing with them. Highly advised that, you know, Dr. Manton put together with Dennis. But Dennis, I told him afterwards, it was fantastic. Because I never realized, you know, they're a retailer, we all know that, as well as a wholesaler. But when they got done with GAC, which we, you know, the facilities, how that works, and all the different things that works with their plant, then they took us out to Little Rock Dam. And I said to him that if we can, AVAC can do anything to help support the opening of that dam, and, you know, anyway, because I talked about, is there a way we could utilize water back and forth, you know, again, storage. And so we talked about that, and then talked about Little Rock, where we can possibly go after one of these quarry plants because the quarries, they have to mitigate that. Once they abandon that, they have to mitigate it. He thought it was a really good idea. So, you know, with state water agencies, that's another one we need to work on.
Yeah.
Because we put another Palmdale Lake in that was
and then some. Yeah.
Look at that. That's the recharge that you're talking about.
Right.
All right. Good job. Thanks, Pete.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll bring back that plan that Peter talked about because we are going to have some surplus water this year and we have options, but we need more detail on that before we bring back to the committee and board. So look for that in the next couple meetings. Locally, with the agency activities, John Bozigian, operations manager, has received chemical bids. Each year, we go out for various RFP for chemical suppliers to include with our upcoming budget. So the bids that we receive will be presented to the finance committee in early May and then brought back to the full board at the next meeting. Also, you probably remember the contract that we awarded to Sierra Construction for various projects throughout the agency. They have started construction on the 75th Street turnout in Leona Valley, and that work's going well. So, AV Watermaster, we talked about that. That meeting's tomorrow here at Avek and on Zoom at 10 a.m. And as I mentioned, I'll represent the AVEC board at that meeting with Rob's absence. And then the Aqua Conference coming up in early May is in Monterey, and I am planning to attend that conference. So Pete and I are going to figure out who's going to cover the meeting on May 9th for the AVEC board. So, and that's all I have, unless you have any questions.
Matt, could we go back a couple slides that showed the work on 75th Street?
Oh, yes.
The Leona Valley project, when did that begin?
So we awarded that contract in, was it March?
I believe the project got awarded, all the contracts got awarded.
Yeah, early March. We had like 5 or 6 various small projects that we bundled together with Sierra Construction. And this turnout rehab was one of those projects.
Okay, thank you. No more questions.
You're welcome.
Okay, that concludes your report.
That's it. Thank you.
Further from the board? Okay, thank you. Item number 10, director's reports. Frank spoke just a little bit about the tour with the Palmdale Water Agency. Audrey, you had an opportunity to go on that also.
Yeah. I want to thank Palmdale Water District. They have this ambassador program they were business people. I don't know if they were actually students because it seemed like there was a mature group of people there. It was very interesting. They showed the treatment plant and how it works. Ours is on a larger level, of course, but it's very interesting. And then going up to Little Rock Dam, it was so gorgeous up there. And then seeing the new dam and just the capacity now that has, it's unfortunate that nobody can enjoy it. We can use it, or Palmdale can use it for storage, of course, but it is filled to the brim and it's been overflowing. There's water in the creek. There's water going down to the lake. They also took us around Palmdale Lake as well to show us where the culvert eventually water comes from Little Rock Dam. So it's very, very interesting. And I really applaud them because I knew one of the business owners that was taking that ambassador program, and it was good to see the community involved as these water ambassadors. And I had never heard of that, and I grew up in Palmdale, so I'm glad to see that. It was very well done, and hopefully we can participate in some way with the way the water storage is, or even getting the U.S. Forest Service back on board with getting that facility open for recreation. It'd be wonderful.
Sounds very worthwhile.
Yeah, oh, it's so cool.
Is it closed to the public now? Is it?
Yeah, yeah. You can't even.
Only in the water district, Forest Service can get behind the gates.
Yeah, you have to have an escort. Yeah.
Very well, thank you. Any other directors' reports? Okay, moving on to attorney reports. Is there any?
Yes, I do have something to report, President. So with the sudden and unexpected resignation of Director Arstoslov, it does trigger some deadlines and procedures for providing notice of the vacancy, as well as procedures and deadlines for the board's determination for the appointment of a replacement director or the calling of a special election. I've been spending the last day and a half working on a memo outlining all that, and luckily it is on retainer. Especially Director Paris is very glad to hear that, and so it is fairly complicated, but we are unraveling its intricacies and streamlining its complexities, and we're near finalization of that report, and that report will be available when the ad hoc committee meets early next week, as I understand it. But two important deadlines that I just want to announce, preview for the ad hoc committee as well as the board in general, is that there is a May 9th deadline for notifying Los Angeles County of the vacancy. And then this board needs to make a decision by the June 13th board meeting as to the announcement of a special election or an appointment of a replacement director. So I just want to highlight those two important dates coming up.
Thank you very much. That's important information for the board.
Thank you.
Is there any further questions? Comments? Okay. That concludes your report?
Yes, President.
Number 12, request for future agenda items. Is there any request? Okay. For a closed session, is there?
No reason to go in closed session today.
Okay, that brings us down to adjournment. If we had a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Director Paris?
Director Miller will second.
Director Miller. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. We're adjourned. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Good job.
Thank you.